This is the channel where we talk to the athletes in combat sports, we break down fights, and we talk about the controversial takes in combat sports. As always, I'm the founder, the owner, the CEO, and the host, Sophia Foyer. But welcome to the Combat Talk Podcast. What is up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Combat Talk Podcast. As always, I'm your host, Sophia, and before we get into our video, people, you know what to do. Like, subscribe, comment, hit that notification bell so you never ever miss another episode of the podcast. But before we get into our video, just one more thing. If you're not following the Million Streaming channel, the Spotify channel, all the links are in the bio of the video, so go make sure to do that. And without further ado, let's get into our video. Now, today we are going to be making predictions on UFC 330 Islam Makhachev versus Ian Machado Gary. Now, this card is stacked. However, there's been some replacements, there's been some fights taken out, but we always know anyway. I'm going to give you my honest predictions. You guys are feel free to give your predictions in the comments below. Feel free. Don't always have to agree with me. Totally understand. But without further ado, let's get into our predictions. Now, starting off our prelims, we have Vicente Luque versus Treason Gore at middleweight. Now, talking about this fight, we got both strikers. Now, I know a lot of times that we talk about having two strikers fight each other. We do tend to see some of the ground game. Now, when we talk about the ground game, who has, the potential to go to the ground, it would probably be Treason. He does have decent takedown defense. I don't think anybody's really going to shoot or try to go for the takedown in this fight, but we never know when we have two strikers. So, who do I think has the better striking in this fight? Looking at my notes, if I had to give you guys a pick, to be honest, I'm going to have to go with Vicente. The only reason why I go with Vicente is because Treason does look a little bit slower and a little bit just not quite there yet. And I know a lot of people are going to come after me for that, but it is what it is. I think Vicente, having the years behind him and having the experience of knowing what it's like to be in the middleweight division and to be hit by middleweight, not saying Treason's not going to come in here and bring a war. However, I just don't think he can really beat Vicente. So I think Vicente by second round TKO or unanimous decision. But next up, one of the fights that I'm really excited about this card, actually, is Dante Johnson versus Eric Mikano at middleweight. I probably butchered that, but we're going to go with it. Now, Dante Johnson has been having an incredible run after he's been on the Contender Series, obviously beating some incredible guys in the middleweight division. Now, do I think Eric has the potential to beat Dante Johnson? I don't think so. I don't think he's even near Dante's level, to be honest. I think that maybe he can give him a little bit of a striking battle, but on the ground, I don't think he has it at all. With Dante, I think he's so quick, and I think he's so quick to find his openings, his timing, that when he lands that shot, it's lights out. So I don't think this is really going to be a war for Dante Johnson. I think for Dante, it's just going to be an easy W for him. I think it's something that he needs, and also, too, I think he outstrikes the hell out of Eric. Just saying. So I'm going to pick Dante Johnson via first round knockout. So we're going to see if he comes through. But next up, we got Jalen Turner versus Fernandez at lightweight. Jalen Turner being the striker and Fernandez being the freestyle fighter. Jalen does have decent takedown defense. However, looking at my notes and giving you guys the facts, he does have decent takedown defense. However, Fernandez, he doesn't really have a lot of ground game from the footage that I've been able to find. If I really have to rely on the striking, who has the better striking, I would have to say Fernandez. I think Jalen Turner is good, but I think he's just done. I don't really think there's a point of seeing him fight anymore. And when was the last time that he won a fight? Exactly. So I think Fernandez is coming out here to shut his lights out and get a win. I think either by split decision or third round TKO. There we go. But next up, we got Chidi versus Joel Alvarez at welterweight, people. We got jiu-jitsu versus striker. Now, when we talk about Chidi, he does have a little bit better striking. However, with Joel, he's very stationary. What I mean by stationary is that he doesn't tend to move a lot. He tends to stay there and then move a couple feet. Stay there, move a couple feet. Being stationary is not always the greatest thing because you can tend to take a lot more damage that way. Now, when we talk about who has the possibility and the closer chance to winning this fight, I would have to say Joel Alvarez because he does tend to be the overall well-rounded fighter. What I mean by that is he's got a good sprawl, he's got submission attempts, he's got good striking. Compared to Chidi, he is the better fighter. Now, if I'm Joel, I need to shoot and take this guy down and just try to submit him. Not saying that he can't outstrike him. It's more about finding his timing and keeping his guard up. Because Chidi does tend to find his openings. However, do not let him in. Do not. So, I'm going to pick Joel Alvarez by submission in the second round. We'll go with that. But next up, we move on to our main card. But before we head on to our main card, you guys know that I am sponsored by Hayabusa, who has some of the best fight gear. They not only represent for UFC BJJ, they're representing a lot of your athletes in boxing, wrestling, MMA, jiu-jitsu. They got you covered. So if you need a new pair of fight gloves, you need a new pair of boxing T3 gloves, you need new hand wraps, you need some rash guards, you need a new gi, you need some wrestling shoes. Go to Hayabusa and use my code SOPHIA to save 10% on your next order. I can speak from experience. I've been using their gis, I've been using their rash guards, especially when I compete and when I train. And their gloves I use all the time in sparring and I use for training. So I can't complain because they've lasted me for years, and I think you guys should go get yourself some new fight gear. But that's up to you. But anyways, let's get back to our video. Okay, people. Starting off our main card, we got Edson Barboza returning to fight Esteban at lightweight. Now, as much as I am a fan of Edson Barboza, I do see his chapter in fighting closing soon. He has been taking a lot of hard shots. He's been taking a lot of damage. With Esteban, this is not the guy Edson Barboza wants. When I say that, I know what you guys are saying. Edson Barboza's got these amazing kicks and blah, blah, blah. Yes, I know. I've learned from him and I've used it in sparring. I can tell you that right now. However, when it comes to Esteban, yes, he does have a low guard. He's got decent takedown defense. But his striking, Esteban's younger. Esteban knows how to slow down the fight and get his pace going and circle in and just get to Edson. I think Esteban just is going to find his timing and be able to knock Edson Barboza out. Now, I hate going against Edson Barboza because I'm such a fan of him, but Edson, I don't really know how much longer he has in MMA. I mean, he's been fighting for so long and taking so much damage that does he really have what it takes to be an MMA fighter anymore? Does he? But I'm going to pick Esteban via unanimous decision. I think it will go all 3 rounds, possibly. But next up, we got Mansour Abdulmalik versus Dustin at middleweight. Now, to be honest with you guys about this fight, I don't understand the point of it because I don't think this fight does anybody good. I don't think this fight really, truly makes anybody feel like they're entertained and feel like this is a fight they should be watching. And I know what you're saying. Sophia, why would you say that? You shouldn't say that on camera. Well, maybe this isn't the channel for you. So, but what I have to say is that both these guys are strikers. I will tell you that. However, Dustin does have his takedowns. And with that being said, I think Mansour is not going to really be able to do much because of the fact that Dustin's going to find his timing and get you just sprint to the cage and take you down. However, Dustin does have a low guard. That is where Mansoor comes in and outstrikes you. However, if I have to play it safe and make a prediction for this fight and give you guys a real honest answer and my honest take, I think I'm going to have to go Mansoor. I'm going to say screw it. He's my bet. But we're going to go Mansoor via split decision. That's who we'll go with. Next fight, we got our co-main event, Mackenzie Dern versus Jillian Robertson at strawweight. We got a championship level fight. Now, when we talk about Mackenzie Dern, we're obviously talking about someone that has an incredibly jiu-jitsu background. She's really good at the ground. However, her striking sucks. And I know a lot of people are going to be like, oh, that's not true. That's not true. She's going to get hit by Jillian, and it's not going to be good. Every time that Mackenzie gets hurt, it's because she's on the feet and she can't strike. So, yes, she's got phenomenal jiu-jitsu, and she's been able to do wonderful things for jiu-jitsu. But when it comes to striking, she sucks. Like, her striking is nowhere near the same as Jillian. Jillian has such better striking. I think she's going to be able to knock her out. So, with that being said, I am for sure 100% on this. I am picking Jillian Robertson via KO in the 3rd round. You got it. But ladies and gentlemen, we move on to our main event of the evening. We got Islam Makhachev versus Ian Machado Gary at welterweight. This fight has been talked about for a long ass time. Talking about some of the biggest upsets this year. This has the potential to be the number 1 upset. Now, when I talk about that, why would this be an upset? Well, first of all, if Ian Machado Gary wins the title and outstrikes Islam, that's in itself is a major deal. Second of all, Islam doesn't have great striking. However, he can out-wrestle and use his jiu-jitsu and use sambo on the ground. I don't think Ian Machado Gary is really going to be able to beat Islam. As much as I love Ian Machado Gary, I just don't see him winning this fight. I do see where a lot of you guys are coming from because of his striking. I do understand that, and I agree with you. However, Islam, the level of the fighter he is, and the mentality and the things that he's been able to do in his fights for the last 2 to 3 years, I don't see how he doesn't win. He has to win this fight. I don't see how he doesn't. So I'm going to pick Islam Makhachev via submission in the 4th round. We'll go with that. But that was my UFC 330 predictions for you guys. Now, I always tell you guys this. You guys do not have to always agree with my predictions. You guys can leave your predictions in the comments below and let me know who you guys are picking and what you guys think. But as always, I'm your host, Sophia. Remember to like, subscribe, comment, hit that notification bell so you never ever miss another episode of the Combat Talk Podcast. But remember, tomorrow night, Saturday night for UFC 330 on my Million streaming channel, which the link is in the bio of the video. You can go follow now. I will be doing a UFC 330 watch party where I go live during the main card and I watch the fights with you guys and I get to talk to you guys. So it's going to be exciting. It's going to be very fun. I hope you guys join. But remember, as always, I'm your host, Sophia. And stay tuned because next week we got another episode coming out. But for now, goodbye, guys.